Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to get started. This is Frank Malero. He's going to be presenting an Artisan made.
Morning. Thanks you all for coming. It's really exciting to be able to share with you the work I've been doing with this nonprofit called Serve. And some of you know me, but my history is very connected to Pratt. I came here as a graduate student, and I've been teaching here for almost the last 10 years. And Rebecca was one of my professors here, so thanks for coming. And Deb invited me here to the program, so it's really nice, and I see some of my students as well. My background is originally in biology, and then I came here to Pratt to explore the connection between biology and design, and I was really focused on environmental issues for a long time. And then I got connected to this group that was really focusing more on social sustainability. So it's really nice to combine those different things. Before I talk about my own work, I thought I'd share with you some of the work of other people who are doing similar things. Some of the motivating factors, I think, for some people are the aesthetics of this handmade quality of the products, but also people are really curious to know who made their products and how they were made. And a lot of these projects and organizations are doing that. They're giving people that information along with the beauty of the product. These are a few of the organizations and companies I wanted to share with you. So the first project is called the PET lamp, and it was developed by the designer Alvaro Catalón de Ocon, and it was developed in Colombia. And the start of this project was a challenge to deal with some of the plastic waste that was in the area, and namely the PET bottles. So he had this clever idea to combine the PET bottles with the local weaving tradition, and he created these lamps. You can see here are made over a mold, with the PET bottle being part of the armature of the lamp, and then a palm that's woven in. And one of the exciting things about this project is that he made the molds for the shapes, but he invited the artisans to pick the colors and the patterns. So in a way, there's a real collaboration between him as a starting point and then kind of letting it go and seeing where it went. And if you go to the website, you'll see the amazing variety that was produced in this project. This company called Bereavement Lily creates fashion accessories and similar products. And it was started by Kirsten Dickerson and Sophia Lynn, and both of them had this really unique interest in combination between design or fashion and social justice. And when they came together, they were able to share their passions and create this company that works with artisans in Ethiopia, India, Cambodia, Kenya, and in the U.S. to develop these products. And so, like Alvaro, they looked at what the local craft traditions were and interpret it for the Western market. So that was an important thing about the designer's role, is to really create that bridge between what the artisans are really good at and what the customers are really interested in. And well, the one other thing I was going to say on here that I mentioned here was that they're really interested in empowering the women. And when women are able to start to earn an income, they do have a lot more power and a lot more say. And while a lot of countries you want to support the traditions that are there, some of the traditions aren't really ones that you want to support. And the ones that they're really trying to fight against in this area is the female genital mutilation. And so these women having this more power have more say in trying to counteract some of those things, which I think is really helpful. Mercado Global was started by Ruth DeGolia, and she really is interested in not just the production of the products, but also all of the other community organizations that are supported through the work that she does. And one of them is supporting education. And the other thing that I think is really interesting about her work is that it's sold in all of these different high-end stores alongside, Gucci and Prada and these other brands. And in a way, I think what she's doing is redefining luxury and what that means. And I think that that gets people who may not be an audience for fair trade products to look at these products and learn about the stories behind them. And this organization, Crochet Kids, develops products in Uganda and Peru. They're knitted products. And this was started by Cole and some other friends of his. And they were snowboard enthusiasts, and they always, when they were younger, they crocheted themselves and made their own hats, which is pretty unique for high school boys. And they started to teach other people, and they started to make custom hats for other people. And one of them was on a trip to Uganda and was exposed to a situation there where people were in these refugee camps, and they didn't really have any jobs or opportunities, and there wasn't really the space for that. To have a larger scale production, but something like knitting and crochet you can do on a much smaller scale. And so they taught them how to knit and crochet, and they developed this program to sell the hats. The other thing I think is really interesting and unique is that each of the pieces is signed by the maker. And so you can see this tag on here. And I learned about this this organization when I was looking for a hat, and I bought the hat, and I didn't discover until later when I looked inside that it had somebody's name on it. And you can go on their website and look up your artisan, and so the name on my hat was Aja Grace, and it tells a story about this person. So I mean, not just knowing kind of generally who makes your product, but who specifically made your product is really exciting. And one of the things that she talks about, and they ask them different questions, is this idea of like, what is your plans for the future? And it's really, to me, like a very Western concept in a way that when I was visiting a lot of these different developing countries, people don't think that far in the future. They really, a lot of them are living day by day. And so it's very much a luxury to think about, oh, where will I be in 5 years? Where will I be in 10 years? I found that people were kind of dumbfounded sometimes when we asked them these questions. But some of the people in these programs who are starting to like earn a living and sort of see that their kids have an opportunity for education, their mindset changes a bit, and they start to expand their thinking about like where they could go from here. And in this one, they asked her, and they said, my dream for the future is to start a kiosk business, so I might have money to fund my children's education. So I think it really helps in changing people's attitudes and their opportunities. This company, Zilalila, works with two of the artisan groups that I work with in Nepal, and Sam just happened to be in Nepal when I was there checking on production. And she's from Amsterdam, and what was interesting to me is that when she went to see what these artisan groups were making, they were making these knitted sweaters and hats and things, and she had a completely different idea and concept about what she wanted to produce, and she ended up producing furniture pieces which they hadn't done before. And so she used this really chunky knit to create this beanbag, and it was a nice, to me, hybridization between the Dutch design aesthetic and the craft tradition that they had in Nepal. And there's another organization, the Association for Craft Producers, that I worked with when I was there, and they don't do knitting, but they do woven product. And she ended up meeting them through the KTS people, and so she developed a second product, which you see here, which is made of a woven product that's been patched together. And so she's really been able to expand and think about different ways of producing her products through the artisans' production methods and their expertise. And so I think one of the things that you gain by that interaction between the artisan group and the designer is capacity building. And Rebecca talked about that earlier with her experience, is that the designers sort of challenge the people and be like, they might say right away like, oh, we can't do that, that's not how it's done. But if you kind of push them and you're there to really encourage them, they'll say, okay, we'll try it, after you nag them enough. And then you start to give them an opportunity to do something new that they could share with other clients. And then they become proud and known for this new technique. And so while it's really great to support the traditional techniques, I think it's also good to encourage people to think of other ways that they can use their skills. The other sort of opportunity for these artisans is a lot of these organizations are in central locations, and in some cases they're working at home, and then they come to the central location either to pick up materials or supplies or to bring back products. And this is an opportunity for them to connect with each other. And I think for people who are doing this work separately, it can be kind of isolating. And so to have that opportunity to be together in a workshop and connect with other people is really, really amazing. So there are all these hidden benefits to this kind of production. So like I said, the role of the designer can be really this kind of connector or bridge between the artist and the customer. And one of my experiences too in working with people in these different parts of the world is that while there are many, many things that are foreign about the experience, there are a lot of things that are in common. And I think you start to connect with people on that level and you think of yourself more as like a global citizen, and that's kind of like identity or country identity breaks down, which is really nice. And having that opportunity to collaborate and think about local knowledge. And for me as a designer, it's really great to be out of my comfort zone and to be challenged. It's not always the easy or comfortable place to be, and I think that it's really inspiring and helpful, and it makes you a better designer. So it really helps. And I think that issue of transparency is really important to the customer, and that storytelling, people are really curious to know about where their products come from. So that's really nice to be able to offer that, having had that first-hand knowledge and be like, yes, I was there. I saw them making the paper, and this is how it's done. And finally, I would say, like, besides the social programs, a lot of them are really thinking about environmental issues as well. And especially in countries that are developing really quickly, you don't want them to emulate everything that we did and all the mistakes that we made the first round. So it's nice to see them leapfrog over the technology that we've used to have better systems from the start. And then I would say, lastly, about the extended product life. When people buy these products, they do have a special quality to them that they don't want to get rid of them, and maybe they become sort of like an heirloom. So that's another really, I think, good benefit to sustainable design is creating something that people want to keep. So I have part 2 is going to be a presentation about my work in Nepal. So show of hands, how many people have heard of this organization SERVE before? Few people. Yeah, it's a really fantastic organization, but it has a kind of low profile. It's been around since after World War II, and they really do amazing work. Their history is that they were started to help rehabilitate Europe, and they were connecting artisans in Germany who are making cuckoo clocks to the U.S. market. And so they've expanded beyond that. Now they work with about 70 artisan and farmer groups in 36 countries. And they're a nonprofit, but a part of their business is selling product. And that's how they support the artisans and a lot of the other programs that they have. So this is a range of some of the products that they sell. They sell through their website and catalog, and also wholesale to some stores, fair trade stores all over the U.S. And they support fair trade principles, and these are some of them. One of them is to really help connect artisans to customers, to have a fair price for the products, fair pay for workers, safe working conditions, no child labor, supporting women's rights, building communities, and supporting earth stewardship. And one of the things about the building the communities is also to have things maintained over time. And that requires a long-term connection with some of these groups. And SERVE's been working with a lot of these groups for many, many years. So I got involved with Serve about 4 years ago. I was invited to be a guest designer, and at that time I didn't get to travel, but I worked based on the knowledge of their production methods and developed some products here in New York. And a year later they invited me to become a member of their board of directors to help them in guiding product development and marketing and merchandising of the products. And my background was that I had been working at West Elm for about 5 years, so I was working in a much more commercial venue than I had been at the Exploratorium, where I was working in a museum nonprofit. And so I was able to really combine my experience in the nonprofit world with the corporate world and knowing how products were produced and sold in the United States. So they also invited me to do 2 guest designer projects, one in Cambodia and this one in Nepal. So when I went to Nepal, I was invited to work with these 4 groups, and they each had their own specialty. So Get Paper Industry produces paper products. The Association for Craft Producers has a variety of different skills, but one of them is felt making, and that's what I work with them on. And Mahaguti, also a variety, but I work with them with a ceramics workshop. And the last one, KTS, is the knitters that Zilalila uses. And so we had 4 main goals. Like I said, Serve had relationships with a lot of these groups, and they wanted to build those, maintain those relationships, to develop products, and we also conducted trainings. I was invited along with my partner, Joey DeLeo, who's a photographer, and so it was really great to have somebody there to document everything we did. But also, one of the important things about producing and selling your product is to be able to show people what the product looks like from afar. And a lot of them struggle with that, you know, having a website and having high-quality photos of your product, because if you don't, you know, it's really hard to get people to notice you and to sell. So Joey conducted some photography trainings to help them photograph their own work. And then the last thing, like I said, he was there to document the process and to help tell the stories of the artisans. So the first group was Get Paper Industry, and Nepal is a really colorful place with a lot of history, and it was really fun. My first experience there, they sort of like showered me with flowers and gifts, and everyone was really excited to see me and introduce me to their space. Milan Batra is the director there, and he was the one that really was my host throughout the trip. On the right, you can see the paper that's being dried outdoors. So they have 2 facilities there, and one is the Handmade Paper, and alongside that they actually have a commercial offset printing, and they're very much supported by the body shop who buys packaging and other things from them. So if you go to the body shop and get some bags, those bags are very likely to have been made by Get Paper. Yeah. But the handmade paper that I work with is mostly made from cotton. That's from offcuts from the garment industry. And so that's what it's here is the white cotton. And they add to it jute and a local plant called peral, and sometimes some other fibers along with that. And that the center is the paper making facility. And the other thing they do is they dye the paper. And they, like I said, they've been thoughtful about some of the environmental issues. They use azo-free dyes, and they also have a system to reclaim the dye and prevent it from going into the wastewater. Here are some of the artisans developing the paper, and at the time they were producing some gift bags for Serve, and so they do screen printing along with the dyeing of the paper. So this is me working with they have some designers there and also the sample makers, and so I work with them directly to come up with ideas and then to quickly fabricate them. They were amazing, and in just a matter of days they produced this enormous collection of things. And also I gave them, I was working with 4 groups, so I was going back and forth to different groups, so I gave them some art direction and left, and I came back and they had done all of these amazing things. One of the things I was trying to focus with on them is not just the production of the products, but also to think about how they would sell things as a collection of products. So if you were going to be merchandised at a gift show, what is the range of type of products? So instead of just this one thing, you'd have this item that's being presented in a variety of different shapes or different colors, and mixing and matching those different elements so that people could pick and choose things that they'd want to buy. So this is an example of one of the projects. Was a series of journals, and there were 5 different sizes of journals, and some of them were patterned, some of them were plain with pattern, and using different prints and different colors. And these are some examples of the other finished pieces that you see here. So it was really rewarding to be able to design something and make it so quickly. This is a variety of some of the other products that we developed, samples. The other thing that Get Paper supports is a tree planting program, and so nearby where they're located is this hillside, and they've had problems with soil erosion there. So they actually calculate how much paper they produce every year, and based on that, every year the whole company goes out and plants trees. So it's really nice. The other thing they started with Anita Roddick from the Body Shop is a school, a local school, and it's for the artisans' families, but also anyone in the community. And Joey got to go to the school and photograph these adorable kids. The second group I worked with was KTS, and they're a technical school in that they're really training people to both knit and also make rugs, and then help them find work in those industries. And these are 2 of the artisans. Lamaya is a yarn dyer, and her younger daughter is going to the KTS school, and her older daughter had gone to the KTS school. And then on the right is Sapno's rug maker, and her son that goes to the school. And I just think it's so amazing to see all of these intricate tools that have probably been around forever to make some of these products. So you can see the tools and the rug that they're making. And that rug that that she's making now, they had originally made as a sampler to show the different colors that they could offer. And people liked it so much that it's become a product that they sell. So they just pick every color that they have available and make this rug. My strategy here was not so much to design new product, but to come up with new colorways. So I went through their showroom and picked a lot of different styles that I thought would be good for the served customers. And then before I had left, I had done some research on different colorways and developed some ideas. And then when I got there, I got to play with all of these fun like color swatches to see what colors would match to what I had hoped to develop. And Sachendra there on the right is the grandson of the founder of KTS, and he was my host there. And so he helped me in developing those colorways. So I based them on some different interior spaces because some of the things I wanted to create were throws and some home products, along with some of the other products. And so once I developed the colors, picking the swatches that were there, then I looked at it from sort of like 2 different perspectives. And one would be how the colors would look solid, and then how they would look sort of modeled and mixed. And I sent them to serve along with these images to sort of say, you know, if you wanted to, you could just take a section of that colorway and then develop that as a part of the product, or you can mix and match and use some different techniques. So it's really more like a design kit for the serve designers to develop new product. The third group I worked with is the Association for Craft Producers, and they have a wide range of crafts that they support and artisans in different parts of Nepal. And on the left are people making felt, and they usually make a felt sheet and then cut the sheet and produce products from that sheet. And in the center is a block printing, and on the right is a ceramicist. So I was at a main facility where they were mostly just developing prototypes, and then they worked with different workshops to produce larger scale for production. And one of the things that was interesting is that they have some main dyeing facilities. So that way they dye the yarn, and the artisans come, check out the yarn, bring it home, knit it, and then bring it back. So they don't have to worry about sourcing the supplies, about the consistency of the color. It's all done in that central location. And it's very, very organized and very structured in that they weigh the yarn, and they, give them the yarn, and then they weigh the product when it comes in, and everything is checked, and quality is controlled. So it's very sophisticated. They've been around since the 80s, and so they have a lot of really great systems in place to help make sure the production goes smoothly. I worked with Srishti and Sunita, and Srishti is that her job title is export director, but she does about a million other things, and in a way she's also a designer. And she knows so much about the production that as we develop the design, she'd be like, that's going to be a problem if they glue that, because some people aren't going to be good at gluing it, and the glue is going to show. She's like, that should be stitched. And so she just had so much experience to anticipate any problems in production. So I really learned a lot from her. And Sunita is a designer, and in Nepal they don't have any design schools. So the designers there usually have a fine arts degree, and then they have to translate all those skills into design skills, which is not such an easy thing to do because a lot of the different restrictions in design aren't necessarily there for fine arts. But at the same time, she's really creative and has this really great perspective as a fine artist. And so she was able to fabricate almost all the samples that I could think of. And at the same time, she developed designs herself. On the right, you can see the felt is drying, and that's where before it's made into sheet. So our project was to develop collections for a holiday, and they had done this before, but one of the things we wanted to really focus on was the idea of merchandising collections. And so we tried to come up with different themes that would appeal to different clients that they have, because they have clients in Japan and Europe and the United States, and to also produce a range at different costs. So we had this lower cost that we called the cheap and cheerful, up to the more novelty products that were a higher price point, and they knew that some customers would be able to buy some and some another. And so we looked at it from an aesthetic perspective, but also from the cost perspective as well. And these are some of the products we developed. These are some of the ornaments. And they also have developed over time a swatch book, which also is a really great kit for designers, because they can remotely work from this, knowing these are the opportunities they had. They can do custom colors too by mixing them, but it's easier to just sort of work with what they have. They have a pretty good range. The next group that I worked with was Mahaguti. And I work with them with some textile designers as well as the ceramics groups. And Serve had a product that was they call it a draft dodger that you put in front of your door. It was in the shape of this dog, and it was really popular. So I work with them to develop these door stops that will be a kind of friend to the draft dodger, and to expand and do like a line extension from the original product that they knew was successful. Oh, the other thing I can say, these two women there, they also do a lot of apparel there, and they were designing some men's shirts, and they needed a fit model. So I became a fit model and also a designer, because this shirt that I'm wearing is one that they produced for me. They wanted to add some details, and so we went through piles of fabric, and I picked these slab fabrics that they used as the detailing for the cuff and for the collar. So it was really fun to just kind of jump in and participate in that design there. It was a nice gift. I went then outside the city, outside of Kathmandu, to a small workshop. It's a family workshop, and the people there are aunts and uncles and cousins and brothers and sisters. And so they've been around for a while, and they have this tradition in this town where they produce ceramics. And so everywhere you go, there's all these different ceramics workshops, and they have these large fires that they do in the center of the town where they produce ceramics. And right before I left the textile studio, I noticed there was a big pile of the block print blocks, and I said, "Can I take some of those with me?" And he said, "Yeah, take whatever you want." So I grabbed a few of them, and I had this idea to imprint the ceramics with the textile block print. So when I got there, I had these things, and I asked them if we could do it, and they just looked at me like, "Why are you doing this? What's this? What are you up to?" And so we went through the process, and we spent the day kind of exploring and experimenting with that, and I got really into it and started to produce some different ideas. You can see one of the ceramicists that works on the wheel there. The other thing, I was developing mug ideas, and at the time they were producing some Christmas ornaments, these ornaments on the left, with these simple plaster molds. They press the clay in, pull it out, and I thought, well, maybe we could use that as a decoration for a mug or other kind of product. And so we combined some of the ideas that they had, and it was really fun to work with this ceramicist to give him shapes. I was really just like drawing profiles. I said, "Can you make this?" And he'd do it. And I said, "Can you make it a little taller?" And he'd make another one a little taller. And you know, it was just really nice to have that direct interaction and so quickly be able to realize your ideas. Another thing that was nice about these groups is they all know each other, and they work together through the Fair Trade Group Nepal, along with some of the other groups. And so while I was there, like I said, we did training workshops. And instead of just having it for these 4 groups, we opened it up to all the members of the Fair Trade Group Nepal. And it was nice for them to be able to have that opportunity to connect with each other and see each other. These are some of the members. And these are some of the people at the workshop. So thanks to Peter Barna, who was my color teacher here at Pratt, I really learned a lot about the application of color to 3-dimensional objects. And I was able to do a color workshop with them. So they took some of their existing products and sort of identified what the colors were on them, and then came up with new colorways of the existing product. And so we did a lot of different color exercises, like the ones I did in Peter's class, of creating middle mixes and all the different combinations to come up with different color palettes. I also had an activity where they sat across from each other and had to find color-aid pictures that matched the features and the clothes of the person who was their partner, which is really fun because they created these little like color portraits of that person. So then, like I said, Joy did the photography workshop, and that was an opportunity for them to use their own cameras to take pictures of the products, and he helped them setting up really simple lighting with daylighting and different ways of shooting their work at different scales and different angles and things like that. So one of the real benefits is the journey of being able to be in this foreign country, and I got to go to this wildlife preserve, see rhinoceros, and I got to travel around, see the mountains. Amazing, amazing place, Nepal. I encourage everyone to go and visit. Very inspiring. And as they say in Nepal, namaste. Thank you. So I have 10 minutes? Okay, good. I have a video that I wanted to share if I had time, which I do, which is great. And then I'll tell you right there. Okay. Oh. Okay. No, 8. Sorry. So, one last thing I forgot to mention was that I was also able to take this experience that I had and translate it into a class here at Pratt, which I'm teaching now in the industrial design department. And unfortunately, we weren't able to travel like Rebecca got a chance to do with her students, but we're working remotely, connecting the students to the artisan groups and developing products based on their materials and production methods. And lastly, I'd say I invite you to come and look at some of the products that, that I developed, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Yeah.
Hi, thank you very much. I have a client of mine does a lot of silk work in Cambodia and Myanmar. And one of the, Marianne Koyamans, who you may know, she often works where she will develop several lines of her designs, but will also support people supporting their own traditional designs. Does that fit into your work at all?
Well, most of the work for Serve is like I said, for the Serve customers, but definitely I think that when Serve is supporting these groups, they're supporting them to their infrastructure completely. But I haven't really worked that way myself. But I try to incorporate elements of the culture in some of the products. One of them was I was really fascinated by the script when I was in Cambodia, and then this phrase, it says "people support people," it just repeats. But you know, for people who don't read it, it's just a beautiful like pattern. But the inside sort of tells a story about the experience, and hopefully connects people to the culture in some way. Thank you very much. Oh yeah. So.
Hi. That was awesome. So I kudos Serve because they are a member of the Alliance for Artisan Enterprise, which is where I work. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then I also have my own Artisan Enterprise. There's so many questions I feel like I could ask you, and also just like how nice conversation. So can I give you my card?
Please.
And then I don't know if you have
I do.
So yeah, I work in the Alliance, and it was just so interesting to hear everything kind of overlapping because West Elm is a member as well, and we've worked with both. I think it would be neat to talk about it.
I would love to meet you.
I'm actually heading to Peru in like a week to work with my artisans.
Cool.
So they've been really kind and let me continue to sort of like pursue my entrepreneurial endeavors while I work with them.
Oh, cool.
But it would be neat to connect the work. We're just starting a new partnership this summer with my company, where they've turned my fellowship program into a person's course. And it's kind of interesting because I don't know if you've heard of Dean. It's a very small. But like the woman who created it, Sophia Lawson, she took her first cohort of students to